Answer it now, answer it, answer it. Tell me, we have enough problem. But we coming back on. Tell him we coming back up. My shut down again because but the two time it shut down. I do what?
to incorporate some of the newer antihypertensives. The only one of recent nature that would have been added to the CDAP would be amlodipine. Like the ARBs, however, one of the newer medicines, antihypertensive, those are angiotensin receptors.
Welcome back again. Of course, yes, we are experiencing some difficulty, but we are tenacious and we will continue, of course, to, as it breaks down, we will, of course, resume with immediacy as far as we can. Of course, we are peeping into, of course, the Monday night forum of the UNC, and the issue is, of course, health, and remember, of course, that will find its way into the eventual manifesto of the UNC. So, whilst I try to, of course, iron out some of the issues, what I really want to talk about tonight, of course, is Imbert, and, of course, his convoluted and meandering and clearly line, of course, explanation as to the Tobago airport and other matters incidental there too. But let's go back, of course, to stateside on the UNC, of course, Monday night forum in, of course, the constituency of St. Joseph.
Being postponed due to lack of one or several of these factors. I suspect many times as patients recount these experiences almost daily, there must be accountability for this. Equipment should be updated regularly, as well as there must be a proper training and retraining, as Dr. Daisley would have mentioned before. There must be a schedule for staff to deal with the changing nature of modern medicine, not only as it deals with the operation and maintenance of equipment, but on their own knowledge base as well. We should have continuous medical education. Our public health care staff should be incentivized to undergo further specialization and be properly remunerated for their hard work. All healthcare personnel should enjoy a standard of living that is applicable to their dedication, sacrifice, and risk. All of us in this nation have a role and responsibility when it comes to our health. The public authorities have to be more proactive and less reactive by fostering healthier lifestyles with the help of all relevant stakeholders, including the community, school, and faith-based organizations, as well as sporting groups, by properly managed monetary and technical support to encourage and attain our targeted health parameters at all levels of society. Thank you.
Yes, people, of course, that is, of course, the UNC forum dealing, of course, with health, as we, of course, join the UNC in St. Joseph in order, of course, to bring this particular. I want to use this as well as a situation where we are getting constant breakdown tonight. So, of course, this is the third time we have been up. We have rebooted and back up. So let's see, and let's take in what they are saying at this point.
Infrastructure which we spoke about, we have enough of that if we maintain it. The people who are the workers in the system, doctors, nurses, all the healthcare workers, and of course the process. And I think this is where the process falls down. I just want to piggyback on some of the points raised by my two colleagues here. The issue of overcrowding in the accident and emergency at San Fernando has been dealt with already. It can be dealt with again. I'm trusting that my friend Dr. Chattergoon, during the open session, will reflect and share what was done at San Fernando Hospital to deal with that. So that there's a solution for that. With regards to the cath lab, I just want to put on the record that in your time, leader, the tender was actually sent out for the cath lab in 2015, but of course the government changed. So the space was identified, the space is still there, and this government has retendered this, so many times. But also to note that with regards to the outsourcing, not only for the renal patients, but for cardiac patients, they've spent $153 million in the last 9 years to outsource cardiac procedures. That could have built 3 cath labs. So this is the issue. Now, Professor Daisley mentioned about the fact that you don't have supplies and so on, and you have to send patients to private labs to do tests. Something is wrong. We are spending over $700 to $800 million a year on what we call pharmaceuticals and non-pharmaceuticals. That's also reflected in that report that came out in the Joint Select Committee today. And really the question has to be, what is the problem? Is it a problem of short supply, or is it a stockout problem? Is it efficiency and so on? So that needs to be looked at. The parallel healthcare system was a hoax. This thing of a parallel healthcare system fooled the population. We were left with a disease burden that is now there to be dealt with, and we have to deal with that in a very definitive way. Part of the problem with the chronic disease clinics, and Dr. Ryan will attest to this, is that the clinics are understaffed. In this day and age, patients not only need a prescription written for their diabetic and antihypertensive medication, they also need to be counseled. And the doctors are so busy, you have sometimes 1 or 2 doctors having to treat 100 patients. So all they can do really is to write a prescription. Now this is ironical, because you have 300 and 400 new doctors coming out every year who can fill these positions, so we need to deal with that. So the solution is there. Now, in terms of the prevention aspect, we have to go back to extending the opening hours of the health center. That proved to be a very useful measure, and it can be a preventative measure. You have to make it convenient for the patients, Why is it that you can't have the health centers open again till 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, and on weekends, on Saturday? That is when it is convenient, and also you take the healthcare to where it's convenient for patients, if you're looking at preventive care. The other point I want to make is that machines were built to work. MRI machine and CT machine don't really need a resting night. them designed to work 24/7. So all of this backlog you have, Tim, why it is you can't employ more technicians, pay them overtime, whatever it takes, and you cut the backlog. So instead of a patient and then waiting for 6 months to get a CT, that could be done in the night. There is nothing that says that you cannot do a CT and an MRI at 12 o'clock in the night. We do it as emergencies. So you can do elective work using the machines. That's what they are built for. So we have to think outside of the box. We have to think outside of the box, and we have to get innovative leader. But this all comes down to one thing. It comes down to leadership and management. It comes down to making sure that we fix the process. And, you know, it's hard to say, but I am not sure that this government is capable of doing that anymore. And really and truly, it requires a different vision. It requires a new leadership. It requires leadership with the will and the vision to execute and to do what is needed. I know I can say a whole lot more here. I just want to close on one more point. Quite often, the Minister of Health will come to the Parliament, and there are ads that go out in the papers by, you alluded to one CEO who might be in the wrong profession. So they advertise that they're doing 1,000 tests, they're doing 5,000 tests. But they don't tell you how many tests they're not doing. It is not about the number of tests you do. It is about the number that is required and how many of that you're doing. And it is also about timely health care. There's this thing about you getting health care for free. Of course, it's for free at the point of delivery. But if you have to wait 6 months for it and you die in the process, it is of no benefit to you. So the whole issue of timely health care is something that needs to be addressed. And of course, you started the external patient program, which looked to address that. And I'm sure that when you come back as Prime Minister, you'll be able to do that again. I will leave it there, Leader. I have a lot more I could say. I'll leave it there because I know we want to hear from our audience as well. Thank you very much.
Leader, with your permission, we'd like now to open up the floor to, for the audience to pose questions to anyone on the panel. Thank you.
So people, once again, of course, welcome to the Corridor Transformation. We thought tonight we should take a sneak preview as to what is happening right now as we speak, as we are on air, with the, of course, the forum organized by the UNC, led by, of course, the supreme, I should say, and very venerable leader, Kamala Prasad Bisesa. It is now open session, and of course the members of the public are now, of course, making their contribution. And all of this, of course, is intended to, of course, develop a part of the manifesto of the UNC as they, of course, prepare for office in the after the 2025 general election. It ought to have been 2020, but
the British system.
So be it.
Britain is a vast country, and you could understand why they had regions. Trinidad and Tobago is a small country. I don't see the reason, you know, you get from Arima to Port of Spain, well, not now, you know, in an hour, let us say. And I can't see the reason why you have divided up the country, this such a small country, into RHAs. That was something for the larger country like Britain. But we wanted to follow Britain in all aspects. But I think that is suited for Britain. I don't think that it is all that suited for Trinidad and Tobago. And I think that it needs to be reviewed. As I said before, the system that was in existence then, where the medical chief of staff, he or she had their hands in the fire, and they knew what was needed. And he would recognize, or she would recognize, that more and more people were dying from diabetes or from heart disease. And he would listen to his colleagues on the ward, and institute the measures. If there need to be a cath lab was forthcoming, you know. But to get a cath lab now, it has to go through all this process and the funding and the reasoning. And the reason should be straightforward, be needed because patients need it. End the story. If you can't get the funds, then get it from somewhere. I don't know where you're going to get it from. But it is needed. It's a tool that is very much needed in our society because many of our patients are dying from heart disease, from heart attack. And that is because of the coronary arteries being blocked up. And you need the cath lab. You need that. And as my friend here said, 90 minutes, you come in and you get your stent in. Why should we as Trinidadians be denied that? Why? Are we inferior to the rest of the people in the world? Are we not citizens, a human being? That is the current way, medicine advances. Once upon a time, you would listen with a stethoscope and that kind of thing. Now you have all these invasive procedures which are very simple, and so there is need for the cath lab. We should not be begging and imploring and year after year. That's madness. Yeah, it's madness.
So you would realize, of course, that there is a panel.
Good afternoon.
That there's a panel
MPs.
to respond to the panel of experts to respond to the.
I'm trying to keep it
to
together
the
here
questions
because my mom passed away in 2020, and these are real examples I'm going to call out here now. And through me, I'm hoping to get justice for my mom. And I'm hoping at some point the boss lady, when she comes back as Prime Minister, she will put some of these things into policy. So boss, my mom was diagnosed with stage 3C ovarian cancer in 2008. And she needed to do emergency surgery to remove the ovary and part of the intestine that had spread to outside. Dr. Citran spoke about the cancer in the last segment, and also Dr. Bodo spoke about timely treatment. The longer you wait with cancer, the more it spread and the less likely you could survive it. So she had to do emergency surgery. And that is a specialized surgery because the ovaries have something called lymph nodes connected to it. So you need surgeons, specialized surgeons who know what they're doing. The reason why I'm saying that surgery, she couldn't get the surgery done in public in time. And we were forced to do it in private. And the surgery was costing $60,000. We were able to raise the money through family, there's something in our religion called zakat, and we applied and we got through. And guess what? We did the surgery, but then now the medication to do the chemotherapy right after. Because as you get rid of the cancer, you wait about a month and then you have to do chemotherapy to kill out all these stray cancer cells that will be spreading. And the hospital, the public system did not have the required medication, the chemotherapy, to treat with her. And we were forced to go back into private again, $12,000 per chemotherapy session, and she had to do 6. So it's 6 by 12, $72,000, right? The reason why I'm saying this is because it's very hard for poor people. If you don't have that money, you're forced to stay in the system, and the cancer will spread and you die, basically. Basically, it's a catch-22 situation. So we were fortunate because we were able to raise the funds, and the doctors gave her 40% chance to survive beyond 5 years. She survived 12 years. She survived 12 years. So based on that situation, I would like to suggest 2 things. First of all, in this new government coming into play here, let us finish the oncology center once and for all. Because had there been a national oncology center functioning, that would have been able to save thousands of lives. But it is an elephant structure in Mount Hope compound, getting vine, getting rust iron, all kind of thing happening there. And administrations pass, and we can't seem to finish the National Oncology Center. So I'm making a plea on behalf of all cancer patients to get that going, please.
Oncology,
that's
of
number
course,
one.
A technical term
Number
for
2,
cancer, so
in America, there's something called Affordable Care Act, ACA. Some people call it the Obamacare. If we could consider, in moving forward into a developed nation status, to put some sort of medical coverage for poor people and middle-income people, where you'd be given the option, if they don't have it in the public, you have some sort of medical coverage, you could get it done in private. right? It is called the Affordable Care Act. Boss, I hope you could consider it and look at the logistics, the maths behind it, and if you could afford it, let me go through with it. Please, thanks. And then the last point I would like to state is this. My mom passed away in 2020. The cancer came back after 12 years, but it attacked her breast, her right breast, and she needed to do emergency surgery again to remove the right breast. We were able to raise the funds again through the same system we did in 2008. We went in a private nursing home. Unfortunately, she died in the nursing home. And she didn't die because of the surgery itself. The surgeon removed the breast properly. But there was a minor thing he needed to do with her liver, which was to do a biopsy. He pushed the needle in too far, and it passed the liver and punctured her intestines in 3 areas. And the perforation is what killed her, because she got infection. So my third point, I am fighting for justice for mom here. Medical negligence is something big outside here, and poor people are suffering because there is no recourse for justice. And if we could put a proper system in place to look at the law for medical malpractice, medical negligence, for justice for the poor people.
I agree, my friend.
We tried to
that.
get peer review on the situation, and no surgeon wants to give an independent report on what went on in Trinidad. We are forced to go foreign to get a doctor to try to come down to review the case. And that's where we are right now. So our medical negligence processes is almost non-existent, and we need to put some improvements in place. Thank you very much. God bless.
Well said, my friend. I think that last part, medical negligence. Too many poor people lose their loved ones because of negligence by caregivers.
Safras, on the issue of the national
Not, of course, concerned too much about the human beings whose lives they are affecting.
I have spoken before about other plans, but let's say some others, but with respect to the insurance issues, we're also addressing that. So thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good night. My name is Sioka Bonaparte. My little experience with the healthcare system, I had a baby in July 2024 this year. And when I went to the hospital, it took me 2.5 days to get a bed. So I continued walking all over the hospital for 2.5 days with no rest. Right? After seeking medical, I came home. The medication, it's very hard to get. Very, very hard. All the medications they put me on. I can't breastfeed with the medications, but it's very hard to get. Sometimes you go to the hospital, they tell you come back in a week time, you go back in a week time, it's the same thing. All right? That is my little intake on it. Thanks.
Yes, indeed, people, of course, once again, we are...
Good evening, everyone.
We are viewing the
goings
on in the St. Joseph constituency, where the UNC is having a strong meeting on the question of health.
Very much for
in the, of course, the constituency of the Minister of Health, Singh. So, of course, we are taking in some of that, of course, and testing our system at the same time, because we had some tree breakdowns already tonight. So let's see what is going to happen. I've called, of course, the technician to assist me on
the private
this
pharmacy business association.
But let's go ahead and listen.
I'm in charge of the 500 pharmacies, Mrs. Vicessa, in this country. So I'm very equipped and well prepared to give you insights as to what is really going on here. The panel has touched on a lot of things that very interesting and very disturbing. Professor Daisley, one of the important things that you forgot to mention with mental health, currently there's a significant shortage of most of the drugs treating mental health. No Cogentin, no Trihex, no haloperidol, practically nothing. Even Seroquel, non-existent. Daily people are coming, so it's exacerbating the situation with all these patients who are suffering tremendously. Dr. Sicharan, Naveen, and Valmiki are very good friends of mine. I want to get down into a bit of the things that were to be discussed today. Mrs. Vicessa, the Joint Select Committee meeting was scheduled for today, which I was supposed to be part of, and as far as I understand, it did not come off. It has been postponed. So the report has not really been presented as yet. yet to be decided the date for that joint select committee meeting. The monopoly that is existing in this country right now is disgusting. There's a particular company controlled by a particular group of individuals where pharmaceutical prices are being controlled, inflated, exorbitant prices, and we have nothing else or no options because they control everything, including a chain of super pharmacies nationwide. I have been clamoring, Mr. Maraj, Devish, I am the person, Sanjay Mohammed, we have the secretary of the pharmacy board here present with us also. I have been fighting with Mr. Maraj from the attorneys, and I am the person who brought all this to light to the Fair Trade Commission. And we currently have a matter engaging the Fair Trade Commission in unfair practices, the monopoly that exists, and everything that is going on really. It's ridiculous, and we have to put a stop to it. Unfair practice with a monopoly, the law states you cannot control more than 40%. They are controlling 75%. The foreign exchange, over 300 million annually, are going to this major company, unbridled, unchecked. When the smaller companies and medium companies approach the bank for foreign exchange, they are asked to take a loan for 3 to 5 years to get 1 million US, take a loan for 7 million TT, and you will be able to get the thing so the bank benefit, that biting into the profit of the companies, so they're automatically forced to close down, scale down. There's a significant problem of the shortage of drugs. If you are constipated right now, you cannot get a Dulcolax. If you get tear, forcing, and you go to the hospital, you cannot even get sometimes anesthetic to do surgery. It is terrible, very, very bad. So I don't want to overstay or overtalk, but I need to say these things. So we talk about the monopoly, the companies, price control, fair trade breaches, and the significant drug shortages. The foreign exchange problem is not benefiting the small and medium companies, but designed to facilitate the large companies, or let us just say the 1%. They're forced to take the loans, as I said. The other situation currently going on with the Chemistry, Food and Drug Division is the registration of pharmaceuticals. As you would be aware, last year for a 3-month period, there were several raids throughout the country called Operation Windsor, which was used to seize many drugs that were deemed to be counterfeit, illegal, and not fit to be used. All of those same drugs, for example, emergency, was fit to be used during COVID to save people's lives, but not fit to be used after that, primarily because they wanted to take this off the market so that another product that that company can increase monthly sales by $6 million. And this is terrible, right? So we have registration delays from Food and Drugs. They tell you now normally 3 months, 90 days you can register a new drug. There have been 4 legal notices submitted and signed off by the minister for this year. Out of the 167 products that has been registered in this country, 117 has been for one particular company. So if you are trying to get something registered to bring options or alternatives to patients, you cannot get it registered because it will be a competitive product to these other big companies that carrying up their prices to increase their profit margins. And it can't work like that. It have to stop. We have another situation currently going on now. Advertising of third schedule drugs, for example, the metformin, the drugs that you would normally use for hypertension, diabetes, Parkinson's, whatever. These all carry under the Chemistry, Food and Drug laws and the Pharmacy Board Act that it is illegal to advertise. This particular company has gone on Google Play Store and put up an online app advertising all these products with coupon discounts for every patient in this country to see, and able to take that coupon and go to those super pharmacies only and purchase. Unfair trading. Fair trade, and as you rightly said, the Fair Trade Commission not doing their work. So we move on again. We spoke about the unfair trade practices. Right. NIPDEC, in 2015 when you left office, Mrs.
Mr. Suchet, just sorry to interrupt, but if you could just sum it up in a conclusion, right, because we want other persons to contribute as well. Sorry about that. Thank you.
Well, according to with the CDAP, when governments changed, everything was dropped. We provide our service, the 103 health centers. We have taken the brunt of the work, the pharmacies, the 260 pharmacies have taken the brunt of the work of the national healthcare system through the health centers, and we do see that provide, but they have dropped our costings from $15 to $8 without any increase, and we're still having difficulties. There's only special import permits are only granted to certain people to bring in medications, as the gentleman was saying. He needed a drug. If you don't have it here, you cannot even have it specially imported. We need to update all the old laws, all the antiquated laws from 1962 regarding pharmacy. And we need a complete overhaul of customs to stop the illegal importation of pharmaceuticals and all other things that are affecting the country. I could go on and on, but I'll call it here.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
My dearest Kamla, and other members of your esteemed panel, I am Dr. Anand Chaturgun, and I've been a doctor in this country since 1981 for many years. In those many years, I have worked with many ministers of health, and there's no doubt in my mind that Terence Dayal Singh is the worst of all the ministers of health. I don't know if it's because of the number of years that he has been there, because if my memory serves me right, he has been the longest serving Minister of Health in this country. He's been there for 9 years. But you know what? In those 9 years, he never got it right. But the problem didn't only start with him. The problem started with a Prime Minister who did not recognize that Terence Dayal Singh was the wrong man. He was the wrong man for the Minister of Health. And so you've got a Minister of Health there who was the wrong man to start with. In addition, he now appoints members to boards of the RHAs who are misfits and who should not even be there. So the problem goes on and on. And ladies and gentlemen, most if not all of you would have had terrible experiences at the nation's public hospitals. And you're going to continue having bad experiences there until you move the Prime Minister and the Minister of Health. It's not, I'm sorry to tell you, it's not going to get better. And you should not put pressure on the lovely Kamla Prasad Biswas and expect her to do miracles. You have to play your part also in ensuring that this Prime Minister is not there, because he is the one who has put Terence Dayal Singh as the Minister of Health. And you've got to make sure that Terence Dayal Singh is gone. Only then will the slate be written clean for Kamla to do what she can do. In fact, what she has done. Let me tell you what she did in 2013-14. What we did with Kamla Prasad Biswas as the Prime Minister, Fuad Khan is the Minister of Health. He was a good Minister of Health. Lakram Bodo as the Chairman of the SWRHA, and Anand Chaturgun as the Medical Director. We decided, you know what mattered? It was the patients that mattered. And we said to you, oh patients, you need to be able to call somebody when you experience any problem in the hospital. Whether it's in the emergency department, whether it's in the clinics, you can't get a clinic. You have to wait months and months and sometimes years to even get an appointment. And we decided we were going to break into the system and put a number on the walls of the hospital that patients can call when they were having problems. We put the numbers in the emergency department. We put it in the clinics. It was the number of the medical director, Anand Chaturgun. And I'm going to give you his number. I'm going to give you his number so that when you are having problems in the nation's public hospitals, you can call him. 773-7838. Keep that number, because as long as Dayal Singh is there, you are going to continue having problems in the nation's public hospitals. He cannot get it right. He has not been able to get it right for 9 years. He's not going to get it right again. I want to say one more thing before I leave. You know, in 2016, I had a meeting with the flashy, flamboyant Faris Al-Rawi. I am from San Fernando West. Faris Al-Rawi is my MP, right, Anil? I met Faris Al-Rawi. I met Faris Al-Rawi with the CEO then, Mr. Anil Gosain, in the office of the CEO at the SWRHA. Faris Al-Rawi promised us that if we ever had problems in the hospital, he would help us, because he was the MP for San Fernando West, and the hospital came under the umbrella of the San Fernando West. Well, he never helped us. He lied. He lied to us. He never helped us. Whenever we called him or texted him or emailed him, he would never answer. Come to my office, he said, on Independence Avenue. And we did. But it was of no use. He never helped us. Well, I want to tell Faris Al-Rawi, don't come back by way in San Fernando West, now boy. The star is shining on Michael Dowlett. The same star that shone on the little baby in the manger, that star is shining on Michael Dowlett. Bye-bye, Faris. Don't come back by we in San Fernando West. Don't come back by we. In San Fernando West, we have Hindus, Christians, Muslims, Sai Baba devotees. And all will be praying to the Lord for you to go your merry way. We don't want to. Ladies and gentlemen, as I leave you, you have to play your part. And you have to get rid of this Minister of Health. Only then can Kamra do what she has promised to do, to reform the health sector for all of us.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tatagoon.
Yes, indeed. Well, of course, a scathing criticism of the contemporary representative for San Fernando West, Faris Al-Rawi, and at the same time scathing criticism of the health system under the current Minister of Health, Dayal Singh, who they say is the longest serving, but boy, that is the level of incompetence, impotence imposed on us by Keith Christopher Rowley, the Prime Minister. Let's go back stateside and hear more about what is happening in that forum dealing with health to find its way in the manifesto of the UNC.
There's no other forum like this, and I want to commend the leader of the opposition for having this, and also the learned doctors. Now, my contribution here is going to be very brief, and I just want to get a level of guarantee. I've been in contact a lot with Dr. Sicharan and also with Dr. Budu, and I've talked verbatim about the whole issue of legislation as it comes to the issue of registering of drugs in Trinidad and Tobago. This is what I have in my hand is a copy of what are the requirements. And I think we have some of the longest set of requirements to register drugs. Simple drugs, eh? I'm not even talking about, biologics, I'm not even talking about cancer drugs, but OTC drugs, vitamin supplements, and the same level of requirements that they want for those advanced third schedule drugs is what we get. So I am hoping that we get an assurance that we look at legislation of the Chemistry, Food and Drug Act, of the Medical Board Act, and of the Pharmacy Board Act, for which I belong to. Mine is going to be very brief tonight because we have had some great contributions here. So I thank you all.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, good night, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vernon Goindu. Since 1991, I was waiting for operation on my foot, and I couldn't get it because I know a friend who, his wife is a doctor, and she get me the operation, and I get it in 6 months' time, and I was waiting 33 years for the operation, and I couldn't get it, right? And the other thing is that my heart, right, I was waiting for a heart, test for a heart. I can't get it, right? I since before the pandemic. It became more than 6 years now. I still get it, right? And my mom died, right, because she was waiting on a how they call it, a blood test, right? My brother died because he was waiting on a blood test. My father died because he was waiting on a blood test, and they couldn't get it, right? And when they do, because my cousin was studying to be a doctor, she get it, and when she get it, they say he had us to get antibiotics, drip, and when she went and she get it, he said talk and stuff like that. But because it was too late, they couldn't do anything. You understand? And the Minister of Health say he doing stuff, he's doing nothing. When you go into the hospital, all the sides of the wall and things real dirty, and they're doing nothing. All the toilets, everything. And then they ball at how that is why it's going to have different diseases in the hospital, because it's no good. I lean up on a wall, right, for 3 nights waiting to see the doctor for my heart. For my foot was the same thing, right? The tenant, who's pushed you, threw me off the chair. I had to lie down on the floor, right? Lie down on the floor and be resting there until I get a bench to sit on, right? 3 days after, then I come and I get a bed to go in. When I get the bed, they didn't have no sheets, they didn't have no pillow, they didn't have nothing. They didn't have a cup of water, nothing at all to give you. You understand? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
I would like you to become back the Prime Minister and fix this problem in this country. Throughout Trinidad and Tobago. All the leaders. Thank you.
Kamla Prasad Bisesa will fix it. And we will just have our last speaker from the audience now.
Yes, people, of course, we are viewing the contributions of the public in that, of course, forum hosted by the Honorable Leader of the Opposition under the auspices of the UNC.
Is Marlene Samru. I would like to make a contribution to let our opposition leader know I have a son that is blind, and what I went through from day one, he was given oxygen at the Mount Hope Hospital when he was born. Until this day, I have a lot of emotional problems facing society in different places with him. Going to doctors, going to this, going to anywhere you have to go, you have a lot of problems to face because of the fact no one did justice to this child. He is a big man now, he's 43 years. Until this day, from day one till now, no justice in the health system. He was given oxygen, negligence, in fact, that was negligence. Until this day, I have to struggle anywhere with this child alone, no help whatsoever. A food card is a problem. To go to get disability for him was a problem. Yeah. Anything you go to do, it is a problem. You don't have teachers trained in special ed so that this child could further his education. I run with him day and night, sleepless nights in the hospital, no help from nowhere. Flying Eye Hospital was in Trinidad in 1983. This mother had us to struggle with passage on her own to reach to the national airport, international airport, seek the doctor's assistance. I was turned down by the doctors from Trinidad. They told me I cannot see the foreigners' doctors. I have to be represented by the doctors from here. And as the doctor walked off, the foreigners saw me and welcomed me. Take this child, check him out, told me to visit the Port of Spain General Hospital on the evening after, for they will seek his assistant. And the doctors there told me I cannot see them unless they sign the paper. Lo and behold, I was there until 11 o'clock in the night. No doctor saw this child. Nobody wanted to represent this child. One of the foreigners' doctors called me inside and attended to this child and told me his eyes could be corrected. But they will have to get the doctors here to sign the documents. Lo and behold, the doctors went back. No doctors here signed the application form. My child is totally blind till this day. So I would just like...
Wow. That is a hell of a story, boy.
Next
but
Prime
that
Minister,
is just
Ms.
one
Kamala
version
to seek
of many aspects of the problems of Trinidad
like
and Tobago
myself
that is
and
preventable and brought on by the Rowley administration.
Kind of problems. This is my contribution. I thank you.
Problems that are preventable, but because of the incompetence and the negligence and the heartlessness of the Rowley administration,
bring him to every
abuse
meeting,
of office,
and we can see what can be done.
we have them.
So I keep telling him I'm happy to see you, but then I have to touch him and let him know it's me. So tell him good night for me, and we see how we can help him. Or we'll try our best. Good night, son. Let me thank all of you here, all our panelists, a brilliant panel here tonight. Very interesting comments and commentaries and facts, information. You have one more, I'm sorry. I thought, okay. Sorry.
Good night, political leader. Good night to the panel. My name is Dion Richards, and I'm from the Moruga community. And one of the challenges that we face in Moruga is ambulance pressures. The distance from Princestown to Moruga, because of the good roads that we have, quote unquote, it takes at best 1 hour. And that's if you could get the ambulance to respond. Most times they don't ever respond. They take 3 hours, 4 hours, sometimes they don't ever come at all. And that is a serious health issue. Yes, we have another issue, and I'm trying to push this along real quick. Another issue is the health centers. So we close at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, and it doesn't reopen until the following morning. And should something happen in the Moruga area, and there are communities like Marak, which is even further than an hour away from Princestown, if something should happen in the late hours in the night, and you get a vehicle to drop it down, it's quite Princestown, sometimes San Fernando you have to go to. It's really hard. So the people of Moruga would want to know what would be you as the leader of the opposition and the Prime Minister in 2025, what would be your position to rectify this issue for this community. In addition, I am on the ground in Moruga Tablan every day. And I know that the people of Moruga Tablan is standing with our good MP, Ms. Benjamin. She's standing with you as they are standing with you as the political leader and the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, and they are standing with UNC for 2025. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Problems all over the country brought on, of course, by an insensitive, non-caring government.
And again, let me first thank the panelists.
A total hooligan.
Brilliant panelists here.
Called Keith
Professor Daisley with us. And Prof, he told me that you taught, Professor. Yes, at university. Is that so? You can't remember. Prof said you taught him. Can we give him a round of applause, please, Professor Daisley? Member of Parliament Faisabad, MP Dr. Bodo, MP Dr. Rishi, and our new young doctor here. Thank you, Dr. Grupnarayan. All of you for coming out and coming. With that, respect to Moruga Tableland, we had a problem when we came into office, and not just in Moruga Tableland, but it was the same issue. I think Dr. Boda mentioned it. We kept the health centers open later hours and on weekends, and that is something we will certainly explore again. So, with respect to your roads, where we have to move Rohan out, and move Rowley, and he will then have to move Rohan. We deal with the roads. I do understand, I've come into your constituency many times, and those roads are really the worst. Amongst the worst, I shouldn't say, because you have Welcome Road somewhere too. The roads have deteriorated so badly. I just said to Professor here, every sector is in a state of collapse. Every sector, health, education, everything, infrastructure, you name it. So it will take a miracle, and that miracle have to put back the UNC into office. May God continue to bless you all, and I thank you all very, very much. Thank you for being here.
All right, people, well, it appears that the forum is complete with, of course, the brief comments of the leader of the opposition. So we can go back, of course, to our regular scheduling. Yes, indeed. Of course, and I'm yearning, of course, to treat you with that airport situation, and I think I should start immediately. Yes, indeed. Because, of course...
Haunted by airport reconstruction woes. Newsday. The new A&R Robinson International Airport in Crown Point, Tobago. Photo courtesy Visual Styles. Finance Minister Coleman Burt surprisingly made time last week, not once, but twice, to address claims by opposition leader Kamla Persipasessor about cost overruns on the construction works underway at the A&R Robinson International Airport. The opposition leader's claim of a $462 million increase in the cost of the project hasn't been clarified as anything beyond political overreach, but Mr. Mburt rightly saw the matter as important enough to follow up his statements at December 5's post-cabinet press briefing, with a second briefing at his ministry on December 6th. The finance minister leaned on documents by international program managers Gleeds TT and Mott MacDonald, as well as local consulting engineers Arun Buck and KS&P, to explain the cost variations on the agreed-on airport design, which incurred additional fees by the contractor, China Railway Construction Company. These include COVID-related logistical delays and mobilization challenges that resulted after local landowners failed to quit their properties, which have been settled to the tune of $14.4 million, leaving a balance of $2.5 million in the contingency fund allocated for the project. A total of $128.7 million was budgeted for the original construction project, inclusive of provisional and contingency payments. At the December 6th briefing, Mr. Mburt revealed that the government would be allocating an additional $5 million for unforeseen costs to the project. Some overruns were attributed to construction adjustments suggested by Arun Buck to improve the building's capacity to handle wind shear. Mr. Mburt seemed driven to pat down any association with the words airport scandal, a term with a tainted, 3-decade-long history. It wasn't until April 2023 that the first legal verdict was delivered in the 4 cases seeking redress for price fixing.
Go ahead. Yes, pleasant good night. Welcome.
Lennox, I see they took a vote on this autonomy bill today, right?
Yeah.
I had 20 members of the PNM, there are only 10 of the opposition. Where the other 9 gone?
If what?
What happened to the other 9 opposition members?
Well, I don't know. I didn't take a look at it. So you are giving me information that I didn't have before. So go ahead.
You know that bill coming to the parliament today, right? And
yeah,
9 of them.
Yeah, I know that was it. Fali was complaining, but go ahead.
Right, 9 of them missing, boy.
So nine opposition members were missing.
9 out of the 19.
No, 9 out of the 19, right. So that's 10. Oh, wow. So only 10 was in the...
Like you can say half.
All right.
Yeah, 10 to vote. I would like to know who is the 9 and where they was. Because you have public business to see about and you not making yourself available for that.
No,
what
that's
kind of fun and games then playing and things like that, right? Things like that. When Fali see that, you think he will go on the side with them for that? When this opposition with that? So they vote on the side of the DHA at the 10. But oh gosh, trying to go and win an election, at least they're trying to woo Mr. Fali into coming on your side. And your 9 of your members in there, well, I know 5 of them fellas is dissident. At least if the 14 was there, it will have sent a message to the man that you're interested in, in Tobago interest.
Yeah.
Everybody playing fun and games. Yeah, I hope they know what's at stake, I know I'm telling you. If Fali when them two see there and he decide not to go along with the get along gang or whoever in Parliament here, there's trouble for we, And furthermore, he called Rowley a house slave and a wicked PM.
Was that? Repeat that, man. Repeat that, man.
He called Rowley a house slave and a wicked prime minister.
Who did that? Who did that?
Pali posted up there. I see it there.
All right, okay, good. I just want to make sure. Yes, okay, yes.
On social media, and he even come out and he had a press conference and called him that too.
Okay, good.
He says a wicked man coming back into Tobago to do what?
That was after the presentation in the Parliament, after the debate?
Yeah, after the vote take place and all of that.
All right.
At the Blank Tobago.
All right, good.
You can see face it's circling all over social media and the news.
All right.
Anyway,
good.
Have a good night.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, of course. Let's continue, of course, with that convoluted excuse that Innsbruck would have made, and of course have him in all kinds of hot water right now.
And bid rigging claims are rising from the expansion and refurbishment of the Piarco International Airport. A jury in Miami, Florida found former government Minister Brian K. Tung, insurance executive Steve Ferguson, and co-conspirator Raul Gutierrez Jr. guilty of fraud. When the case began 20 years ago, there were 56 defendants, but plea deals and deaths whittled the number down to 3. Mr. Gutierrez pled guilty to conspiracy in the matter in 2006. After the opposition leader's accusation, the finance minister should have been able to rely on accurate and current information from his technocrats on the status of the project. Instead, he seemed to be flailing in his explanations, accusing the media of inaccurate arithmetic and unable to bring fiscal clarity about the cost of the project to date and its expected cost on completion. The Tobago Airport project is a matter of national concern, and reporting on its progress and the challenges associated with completion should have been articulated more frequently, with transparency and clarity. Instead, Mr. Imbert found himself chasing Mrs. Percebessessor's accusations, trying to bring clarity to waters that should never have been muddied.
Yes, indeed. Of course, that is part and parcel of the narratives that are taking place around, of course, the whole question of that airport and the overruns and the increased cost, apart from the delays that is taking place as far as that airport is concerned. And of course, very convoluted, but of course, where did it start? Well, listen to this.
Finance Minister Colm Imbert says the pullout of sandals does not affect the extension of the A&R Robinson Airport in Tobago. Speaking at a media conference to highlight the state of the economy, Mr. Imbert was asked if the failed sandals deal would mean the cancellation of the airport extension.
Wait, stop, stick up in. We put in our manifesto in 2015 that we were going to build a modern world-class airport terminal in Tobago. So that's why we're building it. Of course, it would have been very beneficial to Sandals and any other hotel and all the other guest houses and tourism operators in Tobago. But that project is well on track. The RFP is out. I believe the proposals are due in, I think it's the end of February, beginning of March.
Yes, indeed. So once again, let's hear it again.
Finance Minister Colm Imbert says the pullout of sandals does not affect the extension of the A&R Robinson Airport in Tobago. Speaking at a media conference to highlight the state of the economy, Mr. Imbert was asked
let's just pause that
the sandals deal would
get,
mean
of course, this caller. President, good night.
Hi,
welcome.
Yeah, good night, Lennox.
Good night to you.
Lennox, that guy who just spoke with you there, he didn't know what he was saying this morning. When they had the vote, was 21 for PNM and 16 for the UNC.
Oh, 16 for the
that's
UNC,
why
right, good. Okay.
Yeah, that's why it couldn't go forward. The PNM failed.
Yeah, they failed because it requires a constitutional majority.
Right, you had to have they needed a treated
okay.
Voters.
All right, so 16 instead of the how much is that? 10?
10.
Yeah, okay, so 16 and how much will make 19? You mean additional 3, so that means 3 persons weren't there.
Yeah.
All right, okay.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks for that update. He probably must have.
I know the importance of Parliament this morning, so I put it on. I was on very early to hear everything. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, thank you very much, of course, for that correction. Because we need, of course, to make certain that we do not deviate from what is, because the PNM has the uncanny ability to, of course, make a mistake, look as though it's a deliberate, and so, of course, try to capitalize politically. There must be nothing to give them an opportunity so to do, because they are simply, of course, obnoxious, they are incompetent, and they are undeserving of being in government. They should have been out already. All right.
And then the secretary of the THA, he said he was proud of the UNC. He was proud that the building passed, because what they did, they said they're giving him the power in one way, and then in another amendment he had to come back to the cabinet. Good afternoon. So he does not what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to give him full power.
I am standing here.
Yeah, because
he was happy that they didn't go through.
Yeah, he said, of course, in an article that there were four things that they expect. One, that they get a sort of confederation arrangement, just as the United States, where everybody have their legislature and can pass their laws. Two, of course, to the demarcation of the, let's say, the territorial responsibility of Tobago in terms of the measurement, including, of course, their coastline, etc. And then, of course, he said that there is a need for them to have their own ability to make laws to suit, of course, the Tobago people, and not one entity in Port of Spain, settled in Port of Spain, making legislation. And there's another one, of course, determining their own economic, of course, advancement as well. Yeah.
Yeah, but
okay,
what happened is that they one thing that they changed that stands out, they was making him, instead of a secretary, they was making him the premier of Tobago.
I see, yeah, something like a prime minister.
That title, right, but no powers.
Yeah, that ain't making sense.
So, yeah, that ain't making sense. So he was happy, although the opposition leader in Tobago say he blamed UNC and have Farley for not getting through, but he on a different story. But anyway, that's the whole thing, so it didn't go through and everybody's happy.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much, of course, for that intervention.
According to Camille is saying the UNC, Harvey is the UNC friends. So
What's that?
Farley is the UNC friends.
I see. That's what she's saying.
So that's a good thing. Yes, she said that.
Yeah. That's what they will. That's the fallback, because they want, of course, to associate, because somehow to be UNC or to be associated with UNC is to be personal non grata. Well, I say to them, hold all your tail, hold all your collective and individual tail. Yes, we are going to associate. We will be associated because we want to live better. And what you offer, of course, is pain, ache, agony, stress and distress for the last 9 years. And therefore, you cannot be our friend. The UNC clearly is a friend of the people. Go ahead, my friend.
Right. So the same thing you continue to say, and you've been saying it a long time.
Yes.
The UNC is ascending, it's getting bigger and stronger. And the same thing with the people that they in Tobago, they get the sense straight, so they know that the PNM is the evil one, that they had to throw them away. So that is happening in Trinidad as well. Because I told a lot of people, I keep telling them this, that it never had so much African people supporting the UNC as it is now under this Kamala Prasad-Bissessa. She's really growing the party from 197, it went to 309, and it will continue, and it is continuing to grow. And you know something I'm going to tell you right today now?
Go ahead.
TC and Heavy is being thrown out at 91.9. I think today was the last day for them.
Yeah?
Yeah, Heavy make the announcement today. TC and Heavy will no longer be there.
Yeah, well, that's a PNM construct. There's a PNM.
Right, and I was saying that from my own knowledge, I understand it. I said that was going to happen because George can get the government-sponsored programs and the sponsorship and the advertisement and continue to have TCN there. That wouldn't have happened. I know sometime it was coming to an end, so it seemed like it come to an end from today. So, you know, but that's a good thing too, because the people are seeing that the PNM is fighting all the way everywhere to make themselves relevant, and the people on the ground don't want them. I hear so much African people talking about people in Caranage, people in Digamadin, people in Laventille, people in Arima. The PNM stronghold, it seems like it's not a more stronghold anymore.
Yeah,
so what we have to do is to just continue to fight and just stay focused and keep together. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. The toxicity knows no boundary, and they will get more and more desperate as their political fortunes continue, of course, to wane and deteriorate. They have started to implode already. Well, just now they start to eat each other. Yeah. They start to eat each other as their fortunes disappear and dissipate.
And you know what I noticed again too? The older people, most of them died out anyway, but they still have the majority of the supporters, the women and the older people, but not the young people, because a lot of things, like a fellow was telling me, since Rowley come in power, remember he said that they're not hiring nobody again in the public service. They never make anybody permanent. They're not hiring. So everybody have they say about 50,000 people working on contract, 3 months, 3 years, and sometimes 8 months they don't get paid. So these people know they went to school and they study.
I understand that in Moruga, they're going and open a fishing depot, but guess what? The contractors ain't get paid. Well, I want to know why. I want to see if people are not going to use that as an opportunity to protest that level of barbarism that they were subjected to by this government. Make your work, so slavery come back. Make your work, but for no pay.
Yeah, you see, the people are really actually more smarter now, but the people realize, you know, I born a PNM, and it looked like I go there at PNM and I wouldn't achieve nothing in life. So I want to get out of that. A lot of young people thinking like that. Some of them go to school, they study, they get the education, now they can't get no work.
Yeah.
And even if they use the PNM connection and they get a work in the government, it's contract. Contract work, you can't buy a car, you can't buy a house, you can't elevate, you can't do nothing. You're just living day to day, you know?
That's right.
So the people don't want that. So it have the people who don't care, but the majority of the people don't want that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that's why I can always say I follow Jaylene John, because she get this message or vision that UNC could go all the way alone. Because the people know Gary and them is waste of time. Makila is waste of time. Them can't pull no vote.
Yeah.
Because the people more serious now. You know, long time when COP come in, they pull a lot of vote from UNC. They don't have that again. The people know COP can win, so them ain't going behind COP again. You understand what I mean?
I hear you. That's a valid rationale. Yeah. That's very, very, very valid. Yes, indeed.
So all right, Lennox. Good night and good luck, man. Continue the good work you're doing, and you're looking like a boss. You're looking like a boss in the TV today, man.
Yeah. I had to, of course, up the optics and of course,
I know, right?
set the
Yeah,
standard.
man.
Set the standard.
You're
Yes.
looking relevant and you're like where you're supposed to be, man. That's the way.
Thank you very much.
You know,
Thank you very much.
I was planning, we was talking about you in this America, New York here. You know what they want to do? They want to start a petition to ensure that UNC make you a senator when they win, you know.
Oh, well, that will be lovely because, of course, you know, Pandey did, of course, have me there as a temporary senator. So it's not that it will be something that is changed.
I remember when you was there as a temporary senator.
All right, my friend.
We thinking about that. We have another guy. They have a show up here, but we out to keep in touch with you. You know how far it
Thank you very much.
Right?
Thank you very much for that endorsement and that, of course, support.
Yeah, man.
It will go a long way. Yeah. Thanks very much.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Pleasant good night. Pleasant good night. Welcome, of course, to the corridor. Pleasant good night.
Good night, Mr. Lennox, and good night to everybody in the line. Mr. Lennox, listen now. Boy, I encountered an interesting situation today with somebody who went to get the social welfare grant now. And you know what the person tell me? The person was crying to her. The person tell me, the person say, you know, when I went there, right? Because the person was in hospital and the person came back and they went for the welfare check, right? The social money check. And when they went there, the persons who in charge of the post office tell the person, the government have a new policy. So I said, so why the government didn't make this known to the public? The person said, I don't know. They find it strange. You know, the woman didn't get the check, you know. They tell the woman that she had to go back to social welfare to get back the check.
Wow.
So I said, so how the government could just do something like that and not inform the public? The public, I think the public's supposed to know about these things.
Right.
You understand? It's just to create a policy and don't inform the public. I said, wait now, this is where this government we should know about. I really don't poor people in this country. But these people are never to be extremely wicked. Wow. That is wickedness. Yeah. Well, anyway, Mr. Lennox, I go on.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, of course. and as we just said earlier, that will continue as the political opportunities begin to dissipate and to, of course, evade them as they try to hoodwink and deceive. But, of course, as we always say, the ability to deceive and to, of course, endanger the existence of a society is ephemeral, it is temporary. And of course, the most recent example is Assad in, of course, Syria. Maduro time ain't reached yet. But Assad time reached. You cannot be doing people evil over and over and over and over. And expect people, of course, like lamb to the slaughter, accept that indefinitely. While it is happening, of course, the evils feel, of course, emboldened, elated, and they grovel. I wouldn't say grovel, but they revel. They revel in doing people harm and imposing, of course, their draconian and evil measures. Having been, of course, been trusted, the population repose their trust in these individuals. And then they betray and believe that somehow they are above the law and that they are untouchable. Well, that is the illusion of Rowley and they. So while, of course, they are peddling, of course, deception and illusion, innuendos and of course, deceptions, they themselves are deluding themselves that that is a permanent state and that they will not be brought to account for their evil conduct. It's just a matter of time. So Assad is the latest. Of course, we have had Hitler, we have had, of course, Mussolini, we have had Gaddafi, we have had, of course, Saddam Hussein, we have had, of course, Mugabe, and it's just a matter of time for Rowley. We just have a couple more months, not a couple, but several months again, before, of course, we delve ultimately, because take a look as to what is happening in Syria now. Evil cannot prevail. Understand that there is an unwritten law. Yes, you may be frustrated. You may be dissatisfied with the pace at which the expulsion or the expunging of these elements is taking. But as certain as night gives way to day, and as constant as the northern star, and as immutable, unchangeable like a blasted scent, they must pay. And of course, Rowley has coined his own term in the, what I consider to be the political lexicon in this country, or adding to our vocabulary and expanding, of course, our political vocabulary to refer, of course, to criminal action, or put another way, criminal investigations for actions that are criminal. Rowley call it blue lights and silver bracelets. Well, of course, like the person who either bury his head in the sand or digging hole for others. Oh, what a tangle web we weave when we first set out to deceive. Let me repeat that. Oh, what a tangle web we weave when we first set out to deceive. And just like the man who, of course, went to sleep, Rip Van Winkle, and got up in a different era when the American independence was achieved and the Civil War was at an end. But he went there when, of course, the British was still in charge of the United States. And then when he got up, he was asking for His or Her Majesty. Rowley and they will have a rude awakening for the slumber that they have been engaging in an attempt, of course, not only to dominate power, and as we see, giving credence to the fact that power intoxicates and make men giddy and them fellas drunk. And of course, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, and these fellas are absolute and total miscreants and corrupted individuals. Not pilfering, but looting the state treasury. A present good night, welcome.
What you fellas say they might be true, but I just going by what I see on the news tonight.
Okay.
When they report it, right?
Yeah, no problem, no problem. Mistakes are there to be made. I don't claim to be, of course, the repository of all information. Last night, for example, Mr. Tagwika raised up issue about, I think, the chairman of the Salary Review Commission. But I thought he was talking about, of course, the chief personnel officer. So my response was in connection with that, and I was asking why he was probably thinking that I was responding to his. He must have noticed that I was off, because I thought he was talking about the CPO. But of course he was talking about the replacement of the chairman of the Salary Review Commission. So my apology there, and I thought I should mention that tonight, and when he calls in, of course, I will do my appropriate apology. So in other words, we are fallible, but when we do it appropriately, meaning that, you know, in quick succession, when you realize, listen, there was, of course, a mistake made, nothing wrong with that. It's only Rowley and they deliberately incompetent, endless faux pas and imbroglio, public embarrassment, incompetence and impotence. And they still believe that they could get away with that by, of course, being more arrogant, more contemptuous of the people, and calling people stupid. And today, the biggest ass that we have seen today, a man who tell, of course, the opposition they can't engage in simple arithmetic, now, of course, has to account for what $3 billion as minister, and then, of course, all kind of convoluted and meandering stories about the overruns and the extension of time over time of the airport extension project in Tobago. He has a hell of a time. That is embarrassment galore. But they will come there and still talk about hogwash, still talk about nonsense and all of that, only because they are engaged in theatrics and histrionics, meaning that they are good candidates for both, to compete with both Larry Joseph and of course the other Joseph, Tommy Joseph. Any more?
But
you want to add? Yeah.
The Prime Minister was in Raging Bull move today, when the member for Parliament had made inquiries into that same bill, He gave Vex boy, he called him man preposterous and all kind of big name. He started calling him fella.
Yeah, man.
He's American. He didn't jump out of there and strangle him, because the way he was getting on.
Yeah, that ugly son of a gun. That's the only thing he could do. Aggression being the best form of defense. But they're guilty as hell. When they tell you jump, you have to blast it, stand up. When they tell you close your eye, well, you have to open it wide because you have to watch them, because you never could tell what they're asking to close their eye for. And we will, of course, be examining all of that. From Sandals, come right back, of course, to the Sea Bridge, to, of course, that highway to nowhere, to, of course, the fake oil matter, to the closure of Petrotrain, to the mothballing of the oil refinery, of course, to the sale of, or the purchase, I should say, of Neil and Marcy Communication by, of course, a board that, of course, was headed by a good friend of his, and, of course, the other things where, of course, he has thrown on the side, of course, and for believing that we will forget the situation, of course, with Al Rabi's children, and that which, of course, with Daryl Smith and his sexual escapade, as well as, of course, Camille Robinson Regis, mysterious 100,000 that left a bank but didn't leave the bank, and, of course, ended up in another bank, and, of course, when investigation was launched, of course, we already say that he will take out his money trying to defend the indefensible. We will be looking at all of them as we generate the pattern of behavior, and we put this jigsaw together, which is no longer a jigsaw, because we can now put it together because we know clearly that these people were never ready, and their intention was always to steal, and therefore generating by Rowley a kleptocratic group of individuals, government by thieves. Go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, before I go, you had a call you about somebody with a some kind of social welfare grant was supposed to collect from the post office.
Yes.
And he said the person was in hospital. You have to find out how long that person was in hospital for, right? Because if it is any period of time that was a long period of time, that the person come out of the hospital to get that check, he could get hand and foot and walk away,
Mm-hmm.
But that wouldn't go on. And when you see you have to make a claim like that to social welfare, it's $6.50, you ain't getting it back,
Yeah, because they were telling you they had to revalidate it. I had a $40,000 cumulative exercise, and when the government changed, because of the delay, they keep saying come back tomorrow, come back. And I just abandoned that whole exercise and call it dead.
Oh, anything with this government, they don't get it back. I had plenty instances of that.
Yeah.
With grant something, never get it back.
I just leave that with them.
So I don't know if that person will be able to get back that check if somebody take it, because that wouldn't go on.
Because they will not accept responsibility, and the only how they would revalidate is if they get the original. But in my case, they got all of the originals. It was just, of course, it expired in terms of of
right.
the time went beyond the 6 months that I had to, of course, deposit it.
Talking about.
And that
Similar
was it.
thing, and they tell me they can't get the money.
Yeah, that was
The money, you check in my hand and I get them it, and they say you can't cash that.
That's
You
how
can't get the money.
I had to go back to the comptroller of accounts and a whole rigmarole. In other words, it's like reverse what do you call it? Reverse engineering. you had to take out all the parts and to get back, of course, to when it was nothing. That is the way it come from before, of course, you could go forward. That is what we have as, of course, administrative and, of course, accounting system in this country. Accountability
and time, inefficiency. Yeah. And you wouldn't believe that money allocated and gone in somebody's pocket, you know.
Oh yeah, somebody is smart enough to, of course, understand the system and would go away with smiling to their own banks with that money.
Millions of dollars go inside these people.
Well, we have just seen, of course, an example of that. The apologist Sunday will say that the money has not gone lost, but yet still you can't account for it. What do you mean by that? If you cannot account for it, and if it is not lost, then produce it. That's all. For the first time, I agree with Roger. We telling you thief it, but account for it. Account for it. If it is, we tell you thief it, but account for it. And since you can't account for it, then you blast it, thief it. All right, my friend.
All right, yes. All the best.
Yeah, simply. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. I hope I have this right. Miss Arima, sorry about that. All right, okay, let's go again. Tagarigo. All right, Mr. Tagarigo. I don't know why the phone on the system is not functioning as it ought to. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Yeah, well, I hear you, go to.
Yes, my friend. Go ahead.
Right. The name I was trying to remember for the answering was Convent Girl.
Convent Girl, yeah, that's right. I think it's Mikey or whatever created that name.
Yes, that. You're well ponging tonight on camera program.
Pardon me?
You're well ponging tonight on camera program.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, deservingly, not that he's undeserving of it. Deservingly.
Oh, you deserve that.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you, what were we trying in the parliament today?
I don't know. Somebody was telling me something that I didn't understand well. So maybe you could help me out there.
Well, he built farm at autonomy for Tobago. And they just bring that today.
Right.
But Fali called Kamala and tell she to examine that bill closely and don't vote for it because it put all kind of clauses. We only got to remain in charge.
Right.
So the opposition vote against that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, the man turned beast boy. Only turned beast in the parliament boy, Lennox.
Yeah, he's a dictator. And all his undergarments and his internal ugliness and bile will, of course, now be expressed for all to see. I hope Laventil and these places watching. I hope Diego Martin West watching. I hope so. Right. And you do not give them another ounce, a modicum, a morsel of opportunity to get back in office. Otherwise, they deal with you as how he would like to, but cannot because he's trying to play saint in order, of course, to hoodwink us as he did, of course, in 2015. No longer, Rowley, we know you. You are a beast in human form.
What's he feel alone does eat bulbs?
Yeah, he feels so.
Yeah, he alone right?
Yeah, he feels so. He really feels so, yeah.
Everybody eats them bulb pieces, boy.
Yeah.
And I listen to Fali when he say he called Kamala, you know. Yes, I tell her examine that bill closely and you go see what's going on and don't vote for it.
Beautiful.
And people that call Fali stupid. Watch me. Rowley intend to hold on to Tobago. Anyway, he could because you know without them two seats he has stuck.
Of course. Of course, he knows that very, very, very well. They are crucial, they are critical. So that's why he's so stupid. He tried to fight fire with fire in circumstances where people have the option to observe and to see what you're for. And before you try to play priest, you're trying to be wolf in sheep clothing.
They don't make you out already.
Yeah, and of course, you are more wolf than sheep. so it's a far gone conclusion, and it will be far-fetched of him to believe that he could get back into office again, having regard to all of the circumstances. You hear what Rosia and they said, even though they had a smaller crowd than the pushback movement, but that is irrelevant. What is important is that there is another protest, or the multiple and manifold protests, historical, against this government led by a total asinine specimen of inhumanity. Yeah. Asinine specimen of inhumanity. He has a serious inferiority complex, but trying to impose that he is what he is not.
The only time I know he has fight fire with fire, Lennox.
Yeah.
Is if a patch of ground burning, and the fire coming your way, you put out all the grass in front of the fire to mitigate stop.
That's right.
But
because ashes don't burn.
Right. But he don't have that ability or the
doesn't
command.
Have it. No, he doesn't have it. He is an opportunist, clearly. Seeing, of course, an opportunity, even when Manning was around, to be where he is without working for it. And suddenly, as a rockhead or a rock specialist, he's one of the most richest persons in Trinidad and Tobago. And cannot tell us where his wealth has been derived from.
Why look? And you see that increase what they want they get it already?
Well, I suppose that they said, according to Rowley, it's just a confirmation by the Minister of Finance, so that it has been done. But what I want to tell you, it appears that increasingly so, that Leonce, the representative for Laverton East Nova State, no, he seemed to be a casualty of talking the truth, because when the media, and I'm going to play it for you, when the media approach him and ask whether or not the government is justified in that increase, to taking that increase, he said he is confident that the government will not take it. I suppose that's
I remember when you say that.
So he's paying the price for, of course, making that statement, because what it tells us is that they knew that was unfair, it was undeserving, and Rowley and they should have, of course, passed that one. But instead, because this one is legal, they're snatching that too. Apart from, of course, all of the illegal monies that they would, of course, garner for themselves. You just have to watch at Balize House and understand what I'm talking about.
That boy is honest boy, that's why he talk.
That's right, and he is now paying the price for so doing, because he said it is not domestic, neither is he ill. So
and the next one going
by the process of elimination, we can only conclude that is the statement that he made about, of course, the government ought not to take that increase, that he is paying, he is out of the loop of the miscreants and the conspirators to defraud and deceive, and to, of course, ill-gottenly line their pockets and enrich themselves.
He suffered the same fate.
Yes.
Like Martinez when he was in here.
That's right. And of course, Gene Miles come into focus as well.
Boy, to ask for that Gene Miles scene, down by Green Corner, by Globe Theatre was.
Yeah.
Boy, I gotta tell you, by yourself, the kind of people will be here. The kind of people be that woman, That girl will come like, You know, I have a long time to answer the facts.
Yes. So after her unceremonious demise,
why?
she became a a tug of war, but in the, of course, most derogatory sense. Yeah. Yeah.
All them Californian and all them,
Yeah.
As on that topic, you know, when you go Royal Theatre a long time, in Charlotte Street, all they used to be playing is William the Conqueror, you know.
All right, I hear you.
Before theatre start,
Yeah.
they be saying that tune, no matter any time I go to William the Conqueror.
All right.
So they be brainwashing the people from way back when they boy Lennox.
Right.
And everybody singing the tune in theatre.
Okay.
Martinez suffered the same fate because when they break in the family house, he say he find everybody should get gun.
Right.
So they take that to mean that she's supporting camera. He must have known they get rid of him. That's why they get rid of him before time.
Right.
So like if he's supporting camera,
Right.
and the man is saying nothing wrong, if the family had gone, they could protect themselves.
That's right.
But he should have known the people he dealing with.
Yeah, of course, you should know the evil that he's dealing with, who will abuse office, high-handed, and of course, very vindictive, as we have seen over and over, particularly when people he considered to be susceptible to him or extremely vulnerable, and he could talk down to them, as we saw with how he has dealt with those journalists and they.
Well, right now, I think he could talk down to nobody, yeah?
No.
And everybody will just snap back at him.
And he knows that too, you know. So of course he realized that all the power he thought he had has now, of course, simply been not just undermined, but is now disrespected. As we say, the journalists are now getting into their own, and of course questioning him and asking him, why you asking me that when I'm entitled to ask you? You are the one that has the answer. You see, up to now, Imbert is tutulbe. He can't answer, and Kamala Prasad Bisasa just continues, of course, to rub it in to demonstrate the kind of asinine specimen that unmeritoriously and undeservingly have, of course, occupied public office in this country, claiming to manage our affairs over the last 9 years, and next year will make it 10. But they will get the hell out.
Well, I tell you the old Malconi. He must only to Tulbe, you know, Ibazuri and Malconi.
Ibazuri and Tutulbe, yes. Yes, indeed. He's a state of enigma, puzzle, yes, and confuffled. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, it's grass.
Yes, his ass is grass, and he ain't no ras.
Nah.
Yeah. But of course, even the ras are talking about Heinz. Clearly, it has now turned a bald head. Yeah. This guy, he is an incognito. You don't want nobody to know he's Heinz. Just now you will see. You talk about run out a beat him under the heavy showers of dirty groundwater. Well, they have more to come.
But he has no more protection, so anything could happen.
That's right. Anything can happen.
All right, well,
yes, indeed. All right, I'm coming to the end now because, of course, we had some hiccups earlier, so let me.
Yeah, no, I was trying to get in touch with you all the time.
Yes. Okay.
But if you meet any of them old timers who still around, you will tell them when you go to Royal Theatre before the movie starts, it's William the Conqueror, the beaten, you know.
All right, good. No problem.
All right, you know.
Yeah, that's all like a chokota. All right, people, of course, we have come to the end of tonight's exercise. Finally, of course, we did, of course, look at, part of my presentation tonight was preempted because of the volatility and the instability of the system, and I didn't want to be in the jaws of a special presentation which I wanted to make to show where, of course, we can and where, of course, initiatives have been taken. I want to continue on that vein, whether it's in Laventille or elsewhere, but I specialize in Laventille, so I will tell you some of the things that we did, and you will see that there's a pattern of behavior and, of course, conduct and action that when Kamala Prasad Bisasa and the UNC comes into office, they have it very easy to take off these initiatives that have been tried and tested. Let's go to the lines and the final call. A pleasant good night to welcome.
Good night, Mr. Lennox.
Good night to you.
Well, it was real pressure to get in. I ended up falling asleep.
I hear you.
And I wake up and I was just listening to the callers there.
Yes.
But I sent something for you.
Okay.
You ain't getting to play it.
All right.
Because you reached the end.
Yes.
It's about Rowley and the observers. He really turned a beast in the parliament today. I'll finish off from what Mr. Tagarig was saying.
Great.
Well, he said he bringing the CARICOM observers, He say all them people she write all over the place, all in Ohio. I seen it how he say it. He say yeah, know them. So he don't know the Commonwealth Secretariat, He ain't know the Carter Foundation.
He only knew it when he wanted to be there and Senate.
Yes.
Making false accusations in the process against Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the UNC before the 2015 general elections. We know him, and we are going to hold him to
it. We talk about it.
Yes.
Everybody know CARICOM, they corrupt, and he bring in who he want, and the Sleeping Beauty and the UNC, she go sit down there and she go fall asleep. You see how she sit down and she red dress today? Looking nice. That's what it's called. She's Sleeping Beauty. And the code will be red. They're going to win the election.
I want you to understand that is a deception. That is a deception. Because there is a serious exercise that went on there. Serious.
I say the code will be red. They fix up the boundaries and thing, and the code will be red, and that is the end of the story. So all who hoping for an election to win with UNC, that ain't happening at all. Because I keep advocating for the lady to get observers from the Carter Foundation, right? And it ain't no letter write and complain to the OAS neither for the ills that going on in this country.
You have a tendency to be presumptuous. Be careful about what you're saying.
I don't trust them. I don't.
Well, say so, I don't trust. Cannot say that there is none.
I do not trust.
Right.
I do not trust Sleeping Beauty. Let her stay there and sleep. Right? There are no election to win.
There are other players besides Sleeping Beauty.
I will not be supporting them on anything.
No problem. I mean, you are just one person, man. So that is neither here nor there.
There's only me, but I great. I great.
Plenty like you talk the same thing about Tobago. They talk the same thing about 2010. They talk about the same thing in 1986, and they say the same thing in 1975.
I say let them stay there and take blows.
No, not 75, 95. And of course,
nobody
it turned out to be victory
with them again. They're going
no, that's your opinion. That's your opinion. All right.
Everybody know they're going to get blues.
All right, okay.
Good night.
Well, let's see. The same thing was said of more, what I consider to be analysts than you of Tobago. I'm sure you were saying the same thing about Tobago today. Of course, you're not. I'm sure you wouldn't want to identify with one of the people who were saying that they're going to get blows in Tobago. All right, or not get blows in Tobago, depending on your perspective. But that being as it may, let's get down to, of course, completing this program. We cannot be distracted. We have an election to win. The UNC must be there. There are those, of course, who love to, of course, engender punishment to themselves, commit suicide, and not literally, but certainly political, social, economic, and you can't help that. This is a democracy, and people are going to have their views. Strong in some instances, and others are so weak that, of course, you can't see it first at week. But go ahead, Professor. Good night. Welcome. Final call.
Hello.
Good night.
Yeah, you see that woman that we calling and talking about a ship? Excuse me. Cut you off. Don't put you back on the program later.
I hear you.
You never hear I call that program. I think I find a woman about doing this shit, boy.
Yeah. Well, it's wishful thinking. She's being presumptuous. She's saying that people didn't do this and didn't do that, but she doesn't know, and that is unfortunate. Because, of course, at the end of the day, it's unfortunate that she will only be a fool for herself and nobody else. because of course that is far from the reality. That which she has suggested, or in some instances wished for, but will not materialize.
Okay. All right.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay then. Thanks very much. Thanks very much. Of course, the caller before that one got him angry. That's a man that I know well that don't normally call in, but he had to call in tonight. People, of course, I'll try to get off with some Christmassy type, but of course, I know that we started, of course, with money worries. I think we should complete with that, because I mean, it is clear that money is the order of the day, and Rowley and they have taken more than their fair share. We have to accept that as a pellucid fact, and therefore, of course, we must understand that they are a kleptocratic group of individuals who have, of course, stolen from us ravenously. Their avarice knows no level or no boundary, and we must therefore, of course, accept that as a fact. So, instead of course, being Christmassy, I will say that Rowley, Imbert, Hines, the whole gambit. Where is our money? Where is our money? Where is our money?
Money worries.
The country has money worries.
Oh, yo. I'm money worries. I'm money trouble. Anywhere you go, it's the same.
No foreign exchange.
Money worries.
No economic enhancement. Unbridled borrowing. Cannot account or match expenditure with, of course, work done on the ground. Continuous overruns and delays. Where are the laptops for those young people and improving themselves? And why, of course, a proof of being poor. Why is that so? Mean stress. Why? We know where the money has gone, friends, family, and of course, finances. 1%ers, and they, of course, are inexorably headed to be one. Liking and of course admiring and dreaming to be a 1%er as they raid and brutally dispossess the people, the citizens and the taxpayers of their monies. Rowley Andy is saying that you are a brutal and wicked dictator and that your entire cabinet should be expelled. All of us on the ground report, that is how we see you. Blue lights and silver bracelets. And I want to say, don't forget, people, tomorrow morning, the ground report, Andy, Mike, and myself. Don't forget, of course, tomorrow night we continue, of course, and we will make up for the time that we lost in terms of the issue that we wanted to raise tonight. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. Bye-bye.
Because you see my money. Da, 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 da. little angel. It's true, it's true, I know it's true. Don't say we'll be together when you see my money. Don't say love is forever when you see my money. Don't say I am the cutest little angel from above. It's true, it's true, it's true, I know it's true. Don't say you love me when you see my see my money, yeah. Don't say you need me when you see my when you see my money, yeah. Don't say your problems are over, yeah, when you see my money, yeah. Don't say we'll be together when you see my money, yeah. Don't say I am the cutest little angel from above. It's true, it's true, it's true, I know it's true. DJ Last,
found that someone special whom I can depend on the rest of my life. Oh, 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 one who appreciates me as his lover and as his wife. And I know just how it feels when you found that perfect someone. I found that someone special. I know, 'cause he treats me right. Someone very special. And I know I found that one, the one of a kind.